Get ready to mash this party up. It's Rick and Script full non-stop. Hey! Rick and Script. D-Max style. Oh, yeah. I see you coming from a mile away, girl. I see ya coming. Girl, I see ya. Hey! She says she's a real good girl. She only goes to church then home. I say I'm a real good guy like Rick and Script. I stay in my zone. She says she don't party hard. I tell her I'm a party hard.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Bahamas Bar Association speaks out on Parliament and the judiciary. The FNM Leader urges parliamentarians to make public disclosures. Plus, 1 man dead and 5 in hospital after a shooting at Sunshine Park. Welcome to our news. I'm Christina McNeil. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, the president of the Bahamas Bar Association is stepping up to defend the position of the Bahamas Bar on the separation of parliamentary and judicial powers. Ellsworth Johnson says he is not sure the request for a judge to appear before the House of Assembly's Committee on Privilege is a serious one, but if it is, the request has dangerous implications that must be addressed as soon as possible.
I know that the good gentleman in the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the First Class Lady in the person of the Honorable Attorney General will settle this matter, because one of the roles of the Attorney General is really to protect the judiciary, and I'm sure she's not reneged on that duty.
Johnson was responding to a parliamentary motion to have Supreme Court Justice Indra Charles, Save the Bay's Director of Legal Affairs Fred Smith, and lawyer Farron Bethel appear before the Committee of Privilege. Johnson says the potential implications go far beyond the halls of Parliament.
International investors and private persons coming to the Bahamas, one of their risk assessments that they will do is to see whether or not their right to privacy is actually protected, right? I've heard on many occasions persons do and say things on the cover of privilege.
Johnson says it is important that parliamentarians recognize the separation of powers between the executive and legislative branches of government, lest the Bahamas heads in the direction of India, a country which is struggling with the balance of power between the two.
Where persons sought to remove the Chief Justice and other justices or to interfere in that process. I don't want us to see lawyers having to do what their job is, and that is to defend the judiciary.
This as he maintains that the bar has a responsibility and will not be undermined.
The bar has an obligation, as any member of the bar would tell you as officers of the court, to do those things that would protect our independent, fearless, and impartial judiciary. And we shall do just that.
While he declined to speak directly to the issue of parliamentary privilege, Johnson noted that there are conventions and responsibilities that should encourage parliamentarians to try their best not to defame people or destabilize a country. Well, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is calling on Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson to prosecute members of Parliament who have failed to disclose, and promised that an FNM government would make the Public Disclosure Commission independent. His comments came during the party's Golden Gates candidate launch. Vonnie Toot reports.
Make no mistake, Golden Gates, Shane Gibson is gone.
FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis enlisted the help of reggae legend Bob Marley last night as he vowed to send Golden Gates MP Shane Gibson packing and bring his seat back to the Free National Movement.
Listen to Bob Marley. Listen to Bob Marley say, chase them crazy ballheads out of town. We're gonna chase this crazy ballhead out of town. The ballhead man is gone. And look at his replacement. He not completely bald, he got hair on the side.
But party officials weren't done singing for support as they officially introduced candidate Michael Foulkes to residents of Golden Gates.
Here I am! I'm yours! Signed, sealed, delivered! I'm yours! I'm yours, Golden Gates!
As he addressed party supporters during the Golden Gates candidate launch at Sybil Strawn Primary School, the party leader urged Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson to do her job and prosecute those members of Parliament who have failed to disclose their assets. His comments follow reports that several MPs have not filed their disclosures.
Well, I say to the Attorney General tonight, show us what you're worth. Do your job. Prosecute those members of Parliament who have not disclosed. They are not above the law. We want one law for all.
Minnis asserted that if the FNM wins the next general election, it would make the Public Disclosure Commission independent.
And update legislation and powers. Update their legislation and powers. Politicians must disclose and obey the law like everybody else.
The opposition leader said an FNM government would also appoint an anti-corruption task force.
Within 90 days of coming to office, we will appoint an anti-corruption task force. This task force will assess our public service, review all anti-corruption laws, and make proper recommendations. We will implement an anti-corruption unit, properly funded, properly staffed, reporting to an independent director of public prosecution with no oversight by the Attorney General and no political interference.
But to make it all happen, folks says the FNM needs the support of Golden Gates residents.
Golden Gates, I need your vote. Register and stand by my side.
Reporting for our news, I'm Vonik Toot.
And Golden Gates MP Shane Gibson speaking out on the country's crime problem today, one day after one man was killed and 5 others were wounded during a shooting incident in his constituency. Giorgio Bain reports.
Amid concerns of 6 recent shootings in his constituency, MP for Golden Gates Shane Gibson says the problem is not unique here in the Bahamas, but a problem that he sees all around the world.
I think we have to put our heads together collectively. My heart bleeds for the family. I'm really sympathetic to those family members who continue to be affected by the impact of crime in our communities.
Gibson's comments come one day after 6 people were shot in his constituency. One of the victims later died in hospital. A group of people was standing on the park in Sunshine Park shortly after 9 p.m. when a gunman emerged from a white Honda Legend and opened fire before speeding off. 5 males and 1 female were shot. Police have arrested 9 men in connection with the latest shooting incident, which took the country's murder count to 42. Though the Progressive Liberal Party heavily criticized the Ingram administration's handling of crime in the lead-up to the 2012 general election, Gibson insisted that this problem is not unique to the Bahamas.
Every morning I turn on ABC, I see killings in the U.S. every morning without failure. I don't know if it's something in the air, I don't know what it is about young people, and I see we've not been spared here in the Bahamas. And so I don't think what's happening in the Bahamas is unique to the Bahamas. I think if you pick up the paper anywhere in the world, it's a huge problem, crime and violence.
Gibson attributes the recent gun violence on the island to too much idle time on the hands of those behind the triggers.
I think they have too much idle time. We've made significant progress with urban renewal. If you look at the marching band, if you look at those hundreds of young persons who are now involved in urban renewal in one way or the other, you ask yourself the question, what would they be doing had it not been for urban renewal? And so even though we are very concerned about what's going on, we're also equally pleased with the progress we are making. Obviously, the progress is not enough, because if one life is lost, it's one life too many.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
In other news, police are investigating 2 traffic accidents that left 2 people dead. In the first incident, police say a man was killed around 5 a.m. Tuesday when he crashed into a guardrail at the Thompson Boulevard roundabout. Police say the driver was driving west when the accident occurred, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. An autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Meanwhile, investigators are also looking into the circumstances surrounding the death of a woman who was killed shortly before 3 a.m. Police say the woman was driving along with a male and female passenger on Collins Avenue when she lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a tree. She was pronounced dead on the scene while the passengers received no injuries. After the break, the Yes campaign clears the air on transgender issues in the upcoming referendum. Our news has that and more on the other side of this break.